And now KM are one of those who are pleased to support the 365 A Year in the Life, which is the community photography project designed to record a year in the life of Canterbury, Faversham and Sheppey during the course of 2011 through 365 photographs, creating sort of a diary for today and a record for the future. It's a great idea. Now, on Saturday, the 10th of September, for one night only, at the Arden Theatre in Faversham, there's a jazz concert supporting the project. And headlining is award-winning jazz vocalist, songwriter and arranger is Christine Tobin. Hi, Christine.
Hi, Nigel.
Where are you based, Christine?
I suppose Margate is these days. That's home in Kent. And it's a very exciting place at the moment because, since the Turner opened, there's just lots more people visiting the town and there's been a lot of, interest. And so it's nice to see it being revitalised. And it's just got a fabulous beach, and I love the Kent coast,
You're described as the country's most adventurous jazz singer of your generation, and The Guardian calls you the jewel of London jazz scene, streets ahead of the pack, some great accolades.
Praise is always welcome, so I take that. I'm very grateful for those positive comments. Yeah, I mean, I see myself as a singer-songwriter that's coming out of the jazz kind of idiom. That's kind of the background that I cut my musical teeth on. But it's quite broad, really, the range of music that I dip into. So anybody that thinks, oh, I don't really like jazz, or, I'm smack banging that singer-songwriter tradition. And I would say that, I'm influenced quite strongly by Leonard Cohen, Joni Mitchell, Carole King, people from the sort of broader singer-songwriting too.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because if you asked 100 people what their take on jazz is, you'd probably get 100 different answers, wouldn't you?
Oh, gosh. Well, I suppose jazz it's a very big sort of umbrella term, and what you said is very true. But for me, I guess it's a certain kind of spirit in the music, in how you feel the music. It's a sort of a spirit and a soul within the music, and then that's expressed with a certain kind of phrasing and a certain kind of rhythmic approach, and elements of improvisation. To me, it's just kind of it's a vibe, and when I got into jazz, I was really, really heavily influenced and loved Billie Holiday, who would have been a popular singer in her day, and the same with Sarah Vaughan, great singers like that. They were very popular singers. It's only as the decades have gone by that I guess music has become more compartmentalized. Whereas I think basically there's good music and there's bad music. And I say bring on the good music.
And what about when you were growing up in Ireland?
So there was music in my family at a young age, but it wasn't jazz. It was more, I don't know, it was old-fashioned sort of musical songs. My sisters played the accordion, and I played the accordion for a hot minute. I just had to have one because my sisters had accordions, but I had it for about 2 weeks, and then I didn't want to play it. But, of course, my parents had bought me one, so I had to stick with it for a few years. In my teens, sort of, I was really into Bob Dylan, and I liked the Beatles, and I tended to like sort of artists that had been popular 15 years before I was a teenager. I always felt kind of slightly out of sync.
Well, I guess that kind of partly explains your sort of 7th or 8th album down the line now. You've reworked Carole King's classic Tapestry album.
That's right. Well, her album was Tapestry, so I've called my version Tapestry Unravelled.
Obviously an interesting choice. People must ask you about it, but is it because of this thing you were saying about reflecting on what's gone before?
It's very personal, this particular record, because it belonged to my sister Deirdre, who was 10 years older than me, and she had that when she was the first to leave home and set up her own place. Apart from my parents, because she was the eldest, and she had that record, and when I used to visit her, we used to listen to that together. But sadly she passed away at the beginning of 2009, and I sang one of the songs from that album at her the funeral, at the ceremony, and I actually thought just a few months later, I thought it'd be really nice to make, to record all of those songs as a dedication to her memory.
Well, Christine Tobin is our special guest, getting ready for the gig on September the 10th at the Arden Theatre in Faversham. There you are with Carole King's It's Too Late from your new album. That's out now, is it, Christine? Tapestry Unravelled?
Yeah, so there's just the two of us on the album. It's quite an intimate, kind of more chamber-like sound because it's just voice and piano.
I mean, you've recorded 6, 7 other albums as well, which is quite an achievement. You regularly appear at Ronnie Scott's, Pizza Express in Soho, some great intimate gigs.
I think that's very important, and it's certainly my favourite kind of setup, because I think, it's a two-way dialogue between yourself, the musicians, and the audience. I think in this age where people are used to watching so much stuff on television, it can be, if people aren't used to going to gigs, it can be kind of quite shocking for them when they're suddenly so close to somebody who's singing live and they're right in the middle of a performance. It's a very different experience, because you are participating, and we respond to the kind of feedback and the attention that we get from people, and you notice that if people are going to nod off as well. No, that doesn't happen, but
not when you're on.
It's really important, and it is a live experience.
Wow. What is the sort of jazz scene like in Kent in particular?
Well, there are some interesting gigs going on. I know there's a gig that runs regularly in Rochester, and there's been one running in Ramsgate, and there's the Margate Jazz Festival that started up a few years ago in the summer, and that's had some great performances over the last few years, and it's building up the crowd as well. I think it's definitely a growing audience.
Excellent. Well, hopefully we can entice a few people along on Saturdays, the 10th of September, the Arden Theatre in Faversham. Is it because of your association, or is it a campaign that you've got interest in?
I think Kent Creative Arts are a fantastic organisation, and I think this project is really, really excellent. What a better way to show the area, the towns and the environment that people live in, but get ordinary people to photograph it. It's a wonderful idea. I'm hoping the theatre is going to be packed out, and we're going to raise loads of money to boost the funds for this project.
You've got a nice little band with you, haven't you, on the night?
Yeah, I've got Phil Robson, who's one of the greatest guitarists in the UK, and he's known on the international scene as well. Great jazz guitarist, and he also writes some great music too. And then on double bass is another wonderful musician, Dave Whitford. And we've been working as a unit for quite a while, so we'll have some really interesting material, some songs by our own versions of songs by Bob Dylan, some Leonard Cohen. I'll be doing a nice version of Ode to Billy Joe by Bobby Gentry, some Brazilian songs and some original songs, some of my own. We do a Carole King Tapestry song for sure.
So we can get you online, I guess. We'll just tap in your name.
Yeah, it's Christine-Tobin.com is my website.
Okay, and that's spelled Tobin, I would add as well. And if people want to get tickets, what's the best way?
To go to the Kent Creative Arts website, and that's www.kentcreativearts.co.uk.
Excellent.
And I think it's a / Christine Tobin. I think, yeah.
Thank you very much, Christine, for joining us on Kmfm.
Thank you. A real pleasure to talk to you, Nigel.